Long, long ago, in the heart of West Africa, where golden savannas meet towering forests, there was a village called Ntemba. Life in Ntemba was simple but rich in tradition. The people farmed, fished, and hunted, living in harmony with the land. But like in every village, there was always one who let greed cloud his heart. In this village lived Kofi, a young man of great strength and skill. He was tall, with sharp eyes and arms strong enough to bring down the swiftest antelope. From a young age, he had been known as the best hunter in Ntemba. His name echoed through neighboring villages and many admired him, but admiration was never enough for Kofi. You see, Kofi was not content with skill alone. He hungered for wealth, respect, and glory. While other hunters were satisfied with what they needed to feed their families, Kofi wanted more. More ivory, more rare animal skins, more gold. His heart was like a bottomless drum, hollow and always craving to be filled. One year, when the dry season stretched longer than usual and rivers shrank into narrow streams, Kofi decided it was time for a grand hunt, one that would make him richer than any man in Ntemba. "I will not return until I have something so rare that even the elders will bow their heads to me," he declared. So with his spear, bow, and a small bag of dried yams, Kofi set out beyond the lands he knew. Days passed as he trekked through thick forests and crossed wide rivers, but luck seemed to mock him. No great beast crossed his path, and the sun burned hotter each day. Soon thirst clawed at his throat, and hunger hollowed his belly. One afternoon, as the sun hung low and fierce in the sky, Kofi stumbled upon a hidden glade where a stream bubbled gently over stones, its waters clear and cool. But what truly caught his eye was not the water. It was her. By the stream stood a young woman, her skin glowing like polished mahogany, her eyes deep like the river's bend. She was gathering herbs into a woven basket, her movements graceful, as though she belonged to the land itself. Kofi, overwhelmed by heat, thirst, and the sheer beauty of the stranger, felt his knees weaken. He staggered forward and collapsed at the stream's edge. The young woman, startled but compassionate, rushed to his side. She cupped water in her hands and gently brought it to his cracked lips. Slowly, Kofi's eyes fluttered open, and the first thing he saw was her face. For a moment, he believed he had died and awakened among the spirits. "Who, who are you?" he whispered. "I am Adisa," she replied softly, "daughter of Kwame the herbalist. My father and I live as wanderers, healers of the land." Adisa's kindness and beauty stirred something deep within Kofi, but not love. No, it was greed again, though this time it disguised itself as desire. "If I marry her," he thought, "I will not only have a beautiful wife, but also the wisdom of an herbalist's family. Who would not respect such a man?" Without much thought, Kofi asked for her hand in marriage right there by the stream. Adisa was taken aback, and so was her father when Kofi eventually approached him. Kwame, the old herbalist, eyed the proud hunter carefully. "You are a man of strength, but strength alone is not enough," he warned. "We are healers, not hunters. We wander, we give, we heal. Could you live such a life?" But Kofi, always focused on his prize, replied, "For Adisa, I would give up anything." Kwame sighed. "Be sure that your heart speaks true." And so, under the ancient baobab tree, Kofi and Adisa were wed. For a time, Kofi played the role of the devoted husband. He followed Adisa and her father from village to village, helping carry herbs, hunting small game when needed. But with each passing day, the hunter's heart grew restless. There was no glory in this life, no gold, no admiration, just quiet days of healing the sick and foraging for roots. One night, as they camped near the border of Kofi's homeland, he sat by the fire, shadows dancing across his hardened face. "If I bring Adisa back to Ntemba, they will mock me for marrying a wanderer. But if she were gone, I could return, make up a story, and no one would know." It was a dark thought, but Kofi's greed was darker. The next morning, as Adisa collected herbs alone in the woods, Kofi led her deep into the forest under the guise of hunting. There, beneath the towering Iroko trees, he betrayed her. With a heavy heart dulled by his ambition, he struck her and left her for dead, taking all their belongings and vanishing into the thickets. But the spirits of the forest watch over those pure of heart. Adisa, though wounded, did not perish. The soft moss and cool earth slowed her bleeding, and soon a passing traveler, a humble fisherman, found her. He carried her to a nearby village where healers nursed her back to health. Yet when asked who had harmed her, Adisa chose silence. "Let fate be his judge," she whispered. Meanwhile, Kofi returned to Ntemba, spinning a web of lies. He claimed bandits had attacked them in the forest, taking Adisa's life. The village mourned, and Kofi, now seen as a survivor of tragedy, was welcomed back with honor. But peace did not sit with him. The drums of his conscience beat louder each night. Worse still, his luck had soured. Hunts failed. Crops withered where he walked. It was as though the land itself had turned its face from him. Months passed, his wealth dwindled, and once again, greed stirred within him. Perhaps Adisa's father, the herbalist, still believes his daughter dead, Kofi mused. I can return and ask for gifts in her memory. So with greed leading him once more, Kofi journeyed back toward the forest. But the forest remembered. As he approached the familiar glade, he saw her, Adisa, alive, radiant, and surrounded by villagers who now revered her as a healer. She sat beneath the baobab, grinding herbs, children playing around her. Kofi's heart slammed against his chest. He wanted to run, but her eyes met his. There was no anger in them, only a deep, knowing sorrow. She rose and walked to him. I never spoke of what you did, she said gently, not to the healers nor the villagers. The earth sees all, Kofi. Its justice runs deeper than any man's. Shame, heavy and choking, filled Kofi. Forgive me, Adisa, he whispered, tears staining his cheeks. Adisa placed a hand over her heart. Some wounds heal, Kofi. But betrayal, it leaves a scar that even time cannot erase. Kofi returned to Ntemba, but his life never regained its balance. The forest no longer whispered his name to the animals. The river no longer offered fish. He wandered as a shadow of the hunter he once was, living with the weight of his choices. But Adisa, she thrived. Her story spread from village to village, not of a victim, but of a woman whose strength outlived betrayal. And so, as the griot's voice fades beneath the crackle of the fire, he looks into the eyes of the children gathered before him and says, Greed blinds the heart, but betrayal stains the soul forever. And remember, my children, true love is not measured by beauty or riches, but by loyalty, respect, and kindness. The drums begin again, soft and low, and the night carries the tale to the winds, so it may live on, forever whispered beneath the baobab trees.